Hi guys, welcome to Charity's Bubble. You see your number one channel. I haven't done a video in like forever. I went to school today. We had a contest, so I was like, I'm gonna wear this one. it's all messed up right now because I am sitting in my car and this thing is bothering me, and I won a gift card. I won the contest. We had a dress up contest, so this is how I was dressed up, guys. And it's been a minute, guys. I haven't done any videos, I haven't done anything, but please subscribe to my YouTube channel, continue watching the videos that are there. I know there are so many, there are over 200 videos, and I'm almost done, guys, and I need you to pray for me so that I can finish strong. It's been hard, goodness, it's been so hard. Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you how hard it is, but I trust in God. And I hope that God will see me through. You know, like schooling, when you are a parent, can be a little bit tough. It can be so tough. Like this semester has been so hard for me. But I am positive and I am praying that I'm gonna get there, guys. That's my prayer. So I haven't talked about anything about the green card or whatever, but I know we are almost there. We are almost May. May is almost like right across the door. And the people who applied for the DV lottery, I know they are waiting, guys. I know that they are waiting. And I am here and I'm going to be there. By that time, when I am done, and I pray for the best. I've got 2 major exams that I have to do that I really need to pass. But I am praying. And I am doing a lot of reviews so that I can get there. And I hope that I am going to get there, guys. So, it's May is almost here. I know you guys are very eager. I've been getting messages. Some of them I've not been able to answer them. And it's not because I am ignoring you guys. It's because I am overwhelmed at this moment. Like very overwhelmed. That most of the time I am spending reviewing, studying, trying to remember stuff. There's so much to remember, but I hope that God will see me through this. So I need you guys to be very patient with me. I need you guys to continue sharing my videos, continue subscribing to my YouTube channel. Now the weather has changed over here. Let me turn around. We are in spring now. We are in spring. If you can see some green over there. Some plants have started growing. It hasn't come on, and we're having some rain. It's been raining a lot, and the coldness has gone down a little bit, and now the snow is not there anymore. But sometimes it's getting very cold. You know, sometimes you cannot predict the weather for Kansas, because sometimes it gets very cold, and then it gets very hot. So it all depends. But I thank God that I am here. And just to appreciate all of you who watch my videos, who watch my YouTube channel, who have been patient, guys, with me. So, let me see. I'm trying to remember if there's a question that I can remember there that was asked. And I'm going to try all my best here. So there was this person, this one was asking about the application. And this is something that's like a reminder, because I've done several videos on that about who to apply for and who not to apply for. The only person you can apply for is the person that is below 18. That's it. You can't apply to anyone else. And the kids who are almost 18, like they are like 5 months to 18 years old or whatever, they can do the application as long as by the time the DV lottery is coming on to check like the results, they are 18, so they can process for themselves. Now, I want to talk to students, because I know that we have so many students who would like to maybe apply for school and anything. And you find that the sky is the limit. I normally say that you can do whatever you want as long as you are determined to do it. Now, this is spring and we are going to close school very soon. In May, towards summer, the school year is going to end. And some people are like, can you get me a college over there? Or can you do 1, 2, 3, 4? Now you find that sometimes I don't even need to give you a referral. What needs to happen is that you just need to go online and search schools that you want to go to, and then when you search the schools that you want to go to, then you can do the application. I don't know if it is too late right now, but you can still do the application because we still have the school year going on. You can still do your application, and then you wait. So if you're willing to do, because the school year is going to start in fall, that will be in August, you can still do your application. It can be, you know, as long as you've done your application. And you don't just do one application, guys. You do like as many applications as you can, so that whatever you will be invited, then you can be able to go to that college. And of course, remember, when you come in with an F1 visa and all that, and you have to wait for them to send to you the I-20 so that you can do, and of course they have someone who guides you, like a recruiter who guides you on how to go about it, what to do. Like that will be your go-to person as soon as you have gotten your I-20 and everything. But this is where the hurdle comes in, because you find that and it's good to talk the truth. You find that getting a visa can be challenging, especially if it's not a DV lottery, and if it's a student visa or it's a visitor visa. Sometimes it can be very, very challenging. And when you are going to, especially when you're coming to school here in the US, you must have a good bank statement, a very good bank statement that belongs to someone who is not an institution, like an individual person. It can be for an institution. It has to be an individual person, and it has to be current. So that one just basically shows that when you come to school, you will be able to sustain yourself. Because most of the time, unless you're coming to a relative, most of the time you come in and you will live in a hostel. Of course, the hostel, you will have to pay rent and all that stuff. And that is why they require some proof. You know, the bank statement is like a proof to show that when you come into school, you are not gonna be like you won't have problems. You won't be having hardships. Of course, there are some students who have come in, and there's a system that they follow depending on your recruiter or your counselor, and then they guide you. And sometimes you see that there are some international students who are living outside the campus. There are some international students who are allowed to work. They have their own system that they do. But what I'm trying to tell you is like the basics on how you can apply to come and study here. And like I said, the visa can be very, very challenging, because we have to talk about that. The visa, you don't just get a visa just like that. It is hard to get a visa to come and study in the US, and it's hard to maneuver yourself, especially if it's not a DV lottery. And even if it's a DV lottery, you need to fulfill all the things that they want you to. And I've talked about that in my consequent videos, my several videos that so I need you to see, like, it's getting green now. So what are some of the requirements that they require you to have when you're going for your interview? Of course, you'll have your I-20, you'll have your bank statement, and you'll have your transcripts. Of course, you have sent them to your school. Maybe they might want the copies, like the hard copies of your transcripts. They might require those ones. Now, the hurdle comes in here. You find that the African culture does not teach us to do something like eye contact. You know, like when we were growing up, I don't know if so much had changed, because parenting changes according to where people are and what people are doing. But I do remember that when we grew up, if I was talking to my mom, or I was talking to my teacher, or I was talking to anybody who was senior more than me, the first thing I would do is to stand up, and the next thing I would do is that I would not look them into the eye, because looking them in the eye is rude. It was termed to be rude at that time. But when you come here in the US, it's a little bit different, because when you're talking to someone, you're conversing, you're having a conversation, you find that you have to look at the person, make eye contact, and have that conversation, so that like they can see like what you're telling them is the truth. But you find that most of us in Africa, we are not like that. Sometimes even myself, I have trouble even looking, especially if someone is very senior. Maybe it's a professor, or maybe it's someone who is senior to me. I always have that, that respect, that, what can I say? Like sometimes I cannot like look them direct in the eye, like, or the whole conversation. I will look away because, like there's that African in me that is not going to go away, which is okay. But you find that when you're going to the embassy, it's very, very important for you. The first thing that you need to know is to know why you are going to school in the US. You have to have a reason. Because if the consular decides to ask you, there are so many schools here in Kenya, why don't you want to go? Or in Uganda or wherever, why don't you want to go to those schools? What are you going to answer? You have to have a certain and precise answer to give. You know what I mean? Then the other thing that they would like to know is that, so you have told them why you are coming to school here, and of course you have to show that you're able to pay. The next thing that they are going to ask you is, when you go to school, what do you intend to do next? Because they will want to know, yes, you have done your degree for 4 years. What do you intend to do next? Now, that is where the trick part comes in, because if you tell them that you intend to work, then you're not going to get a visa. Because the visa that you have been given is not, doesn't authorize you to work. I know after you have finished school, after you graduate, you have incurred some hours, like hours that you can work, a certain duration of time that they can let you work. And then after you work, you either decide to go back to school so that you can earn more hours when those hours end, but when they end, you're not authorized. So you find that when you are being questioned, like, what are you going to do after you finish school, you cannot say that you're going to work there. No. You can say that when I am done with school, I want to come back and do this and this. Maybe I want to come back and have that education to teach the people here in Africa, or I want to go become the best nurse there and then come here and practice nursing here in Africa. That's a good thing. And of course, you have to show proof that you want to go back. You have to have family ties. Family ties are very, very important. You have a mom, you have a dad, you have your siblings, you have a spouse if you're married, you have your children. You have to tie your answer with something that is tying you back. You have a piece of land. You have a job. Maybe you are doing you are in a certain career, and you just want to go to the US and advance, and then you go back and do your job. Maybe you have, you know what I mean? Like, you have to have something, because you find that I talk to so many people, and some of them are like, oh, I did go to the embassy, but I didn't get my visa. And then I'm like, what were you asked? They're like, oh, I was only asked one question, and then I was told to try another time or whatever. But you find that they're not specific. This is what I was asked, and this is what I answered. Because you have to be able to tell, this is what I was asked, and this is what I answered. It's very, very important for you. And why am I saying that is because when you come here in the US, there's something that happens. And this one, even the Africans who live here in the US, they can correct me. You find that if something bad happens here, you just talk about it. If something good happens, you just talk, like you're not covering it up. You understand what I mean? Like, whatever happened. If something is good, you say it's good. And if something is bad, you say, if a person is not a good person, you will just tell them direct, you are not a good person. And you find that some of us struggle with that. We struggle with being told or accepting failure, especially like, I count myself in that class whereby I really, if I fail in doing something, it really takes me like very, very far, like, and it takes time for me to understand, why did I fail, or why am I struggling? You see what I mean? Because most of the time, or most of the things I have done and I have done them successfully. And I struggle, guys, with failure. Like, oh my God, I do. But I've tried to work on myself, like, very, 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 very hard, so that I can, like, take it, look at it, see, this is what I did, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I move on. You see what I mean? So like I'm at that point whereby I have learned a lot, and I have learned like it's okay, you can fail one time and you can rise up and you can do something better. You can do that. So you find that you have to like be able to explain, this is what happens when I went to the embassy and I was told 1, 2, 3 and I answered 1, 2, 3, so that if you didn't succeed or whether you succeeded, then you will be able to, maybe the person that you're talking to will be able like to help you out. And of course, if you read in the website, it's very, very good to read that website for travel.state.gov, because it has a lot of information that that can help, especially on all those types of visas, because there are so many types of visas that people come with here in the US. So very, very important. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about is like when you have come in here, especially when you're young. You know, young is good, and sometimes young can be beyond boundaries, because when a person is young, they tend to like not, I wouldn't say that like they tend not to care. They tend to be in that exploration moment whereby you are exploring everything and whatever. In fact, that the system here is very, very different, and it doesn't even apply to the other foreigners that you're going to find here, the indigenous people who live here, even your fellow Africans. You find that most of them are very good at word of mouth. Oh, don't hesitate to call if you need anything, or I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever. But when you you are seriously 100% in need of that person, you're not gonna find that person, you know. But you will find a person to go and party. You will find a person to go and have fun, because there's a lot of fun that can be had. My life, the way I live here with my family, is a very simple life, very, very, very simple, and maybe maybe a person who likes like to go out and all that would find it boring, but I live a very, very, very simple life. Like I go to school, I go home, I take care of my kids. If like right now I'm not working, so most of the time, if I'm not going to church or whatever, I like to stay with my family. But you find that when you're young, it's a little bit different. You feel like you don't want that life of like being enclosed in one space and you don't have anything. But you have to know, like, you have to choose the right friends who are gonna direct you to the right place, to the right path. Because it's very, very easy for you to come here and get lost. It's very, very easy for you to come here and maybe you are a girl, by your second year you're already expecting to have a child, of which your parents were like, my daughter is going to school, and it's okay to have a baby. It's not a problem. When you're an adult, you can make those decisions. But sometimes you find that our young people, they get into stuff and then they find that they are having responsibilities that they hadn't planned. That's what I want to mean, like they hadn't planned. Or maybe you are a young man, you're trying to explore, you have like 100 girlfriends. You can have them if you want to. And then the next minute you are hearing is that people are trying to tell you that you have to pay some child support. Because like I tell you, here in the US, if kids have been born and you're responsible, it doesn't matter, you have to take care of that child. Like those are some of the things. Or maybe you get into drugs, or maybe you get into drinking. You find that drinking is very, very easy for someone to start drinking here, because beer and wine and whatever is very cheap. I don't drink I don't find the, I don't know, I don't find any fun in it or whatever, and I don't like that. I wouldn't like want that taste of it in my mouth. But you find that there's some, you can come here and come and become just start drinking, especially because the lifestyle here is different. That's why I'm saying you have to have friends, but make sure that you're choosing the friends that are gonna guide you or direct you in the right direction. Because at the same time, you don't want to stay by yourself, because when you stay by yourself, you're going to be very, 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 very lonely. Very, very, very lonely. And another thing that, and I've seen that, is that especially when you come to from the countries that were colonized by the British, there's a challenge in English. The American English and the British English is kind of different. It's a challenge, because that's something that I always have a challenge with, especially with words, especially with interpretation. And I feel like I'm struggling, like in some parts. You find that, one time I was talking to another professor of mine, and then he asked, what's your language? Is English your first or second language? I was like, it's my third language. And then I do remember he asked, do you study with people of the same, like you have first and second language? I was like, yes. He was like, no, you need to look for someone who English is their first language, and then you can study with that person, so that you can learn a new different thing from them. You see what I mean? So if you are a student and you have come from Africa, the best study group that you could have is for the people who are speaking English is their first language. That's a good, that for me, I got that point, and I was like, oh, I think that's a good idea, because you find that, let's look something like a very simple thing, even something like soda. Like we are used to a simple, when you come from Kenya, soda is soda, but here, when you come here, it's pop. Something like chips, the chips, the fried, the tomatoes, the potatoes that are fried and whatever. The ones that we call chips in Africa, here they are called fries. And the chips, what they call chips here, is very different, because it's it's still potatoes, but they're the hard ones. So you find that before you get it, like this is what that person is talking about. They are talking about, you know it in your mind, you know what that thing is, but you cannot, before you know that name, it takes, like, you have to learn. You're learning, it's a learning process. Something like something to wipe on the floor, we call it a duster. But here when you come, a duster is something that's very, very different. So here it's a rag or a mop. You see what I mean? No, actually it's a mop, because a rag is an area, it's like those little carpets that you put in the living room or whatever. So you find that you can be trying to have a meaning of something, but the way you are mentioning it is gonna be different from the words, the terms that are used here. It's still English, but some words are very, 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 very different. It's like the way we drive here. We drive on the opposite side of the way we people drive in, because people ask me, do you ride? I think we drive on the left and you guys drive on the right. So you find that it's like that. There are some things that are gonna be like the way we are driving on the left and you are used to driving on the right. So you have to like adapt. And the best way, or the first way to adapt, especially if you're a student or when you are new in the US, is to interact with those people who have lived here, and you will learn better. It's gonna be a little bit more easier for you to learn. So that's another thing. And then the other thing is that in Africa, we are used to a lot of social life. We are used to going to weddings, going to funerals, going to parties, like there's something social. There's a dowry that's going somewhere. There's some circumcision that's going somewhere. And people are going to see the boy who has, all that stuff. I know you understand all that. And when you come here in the US, it's different. Here it's individualized. When you go to your apartment, it's just you, and there is nobody else. So you find that if you don't connect with the right people, you can get depressed, which is very easy, because you find that nobody was created to be living by themselves. It's good to have friends. It's good to have friends who are checking on you. But the thing is that look for friends who are gonna add value to your life. Sometimes I look at my children. Maybe they are watching a certain program on the TV, and then I'm like, how that program that you're watching, what value is it adding to your life? And that, I think that's kind of how I live my life. I always ask myself, if I do A, B, C, D, what value is it gonna add to my life? That's how I weigh my things. And if it doesn't add value to my life, believe me, I am not gonna do it. I don't do it. I'm like, whatever. I leave it because it's not helping me. You see what I mean? It's not that I can't help. I can help, but I always ask myself, like, is it, how much value is it adding to my life? And that's what, like, when you're a young person, when you have come here as a student, or you have come here to study, that is all that you should always ask, and you will be able to make very many right choices for yourself. Because not only if it's even the young people, even there are older people, you know, like when you live here, you get to know the history of people, you get to meet people, and then sometimes you are like, oh, that person has been here for a long time, and then you ask them, why didn't you ever go to school? And then they are like, I didn't want to go to school. Of course, it's not a must to go to school, guys. It's not a must. You know, even my husband told me he wasn't going to go to school, but he was determined. But then you can see there was a group of people. There were 5 people, 4 people went to school, or 3 people went to school, and they're still in healthcare. And one person did not go, and he's still in healthcare. You are like, then why didn't this person move from this career to do another career instead of doing this, whatever they started from day one when they came to the US is what they are doing 20 years later or 30 years later. I always ask myself that. But then you hear stories, you're like, oh, there was a lot of partying, there was a lot of whatever. So it's very, very easy for you to come. You can come here and get lost, or you can come here and succeed. So the sky is the limit, but at the end of the day, the hurdle is getting that visa. Make sure that when you're going for your interview, guys, you are very confident, you are very smart, you know, like, just don't wear like a suit and a tie, no, just wear office casual. I would say office casual, because you find that here, like, if you are wearing a suit or a tie, maybe you are going for a wedding or you're going for a party and they have said that you have to wear a suit and a tie, or maybe there is a funeral or whatever, like they're for special occasions. But if you are going for an interview, you can wear something like a business casual, you know, just a business casual. And then when you're going in, of course, you have to go early and all that stuff. But when you are being asked your questions, please make sure that you're direct. Please make sure that you're answering what you are being asked, and please make sure that you are not volunteering information, because us, we are good at volunteering information, very, very good. It's not I don't know how. I think it depends on the upbringing, and that's something that you'll find out when you come here, that sometimes it's okay to say a yes or a no. It's okay to say a yes or a no. I did it or I didn't do it. That's a period, capuch. See what I mean? Like, it's okay if you don't add more information, because you find that if you are asked a question like, how long are you gonna be living? What do you wanna do after you finish school in the US? So you can say, I will come back home. But then another person can say, I am going to work the hours that are that maybe will be like, it's, you know, there's some time that you get that you can work, and then I will decide what to do later. No, you can't say that. You can tell them, as soon as I'm done with school and I graduate, I'm gonna come back home and I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that's a good answer, but don't add that this is what I want to do, or this is what I want to do. Or maybe you are being asked, so you're going to school, but you know me, or you know someone else, or you know, but the person who is responsible, who has invited you to come to school in the US, is a school, and you have a recruiter. So you cannot say that when I go to, and then they will ask you, where are you going to be living? If you are going to be living in the hostel and you know someone, you cannot say that I am going to go and live with Charity. No, because that is not what is in your application. You have to say what's in your application. Even if you know that person, even if that person is your sister, even if that person is your brother, you cannot say that you're going to their place. No, you say where you're going. That is what you say, so that you do not divert. Another thing, when you come in, I'm not sure how, if people, I'm sure people are asked questions at the port of entry. I do remember when we came in, we only gave our visas and we gave our envelopes, and then they went there, they looked, and they didn't ask us questions. I remember they didn't ask us questions. And then that policeman came, the security officer came, and he just told us welcome to America and all that stuff. But I don't know what people are asked, but I've heard stories of people coming in and then they were told to go back. Now that happens when you change your story. So please do not change your story. Whatever you said when you went to the embassy, you can write down. I've learned, you know, like being in school, I've learned, like, even after a lecture, I like to sit down and write what I have listened. And then when I write it down, then I review it later. Then I try to remember what was said. You see, I try to remember what was said at that point. So what I'm saying is this, and it's important that know your facts when you're coming in and try to do the application. I need you guys to do the application. It is not only the DV lottery. You can come here as a student. You can be invited by a person. You can tell, like, the graduation is coming up. So you can be invited by a person with a B1, B2 visa. So if you came here as an invitation, you'll just say, I'm going for a graduation, I'm going to stay there for a month and then I'll come back home. Or I'm going for a graduation, I'm going to stay there for 2 weeks and then I'll come back home. That's good and that's easy. See what I mean? But you cannot say, I'm going and then I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. No, you can't say that because they're not going to let you come in. Actually, they will take that visa or they will deny it and give it to another person who is more needy and who is showing like they know what they are doing. So it's very, very important, guys. So like I said, I have been quiet, but I've been so busy trying to finish strong. This is my last semester, and keep on praying for me, guys. And I'm gonna start over. I know by the end of this month I will be done with my tests, but I'll still have more clinicals to do. So maybe my time is gonna be a little bit easier, because at that time I won't be like, I'll just be concentrating on going for my clinicals. I won't be concentrating so much on the exams, and I hope that I will get there, and I will get there strong. So guys, continue subscribing to my YouTube channel, continue sharing this information. There's so many people who don't know about the green card. Remember to share this with them, because you know the green card can change your life. It can change your life. And I normally say card it doesn't choose where you come from. It doesn't choose whether you are poor, and it doesn't choose whether you are rich. You don't have to pay money for it. You can do the application by yourself. And when you win, you win. The only thing that you need to do is that after you win, of course, you will use some money. You will use a lot of money to process it, but it can be done because people do it. So keep it. Charities Bubble USA. I will see you in another video. Thank you and God bless you.